What's up guys, welcome to a quick ranting video. Well, it's not really a rant so much as a what the heck just happened kind of thing. So if you're new to my channel, I'm a photographer. I do lots of different types of photography, including phone photography. Everything from landscape, astro, time lapses, commercial, wildlife, sports, all that. But I also do a lot of phone photography. And if you're interested in phone photography, then stick around because I've got a lot of it on the channel and I'm always doing more. But about that, I have an issue that has come up with Samsung recently. I think it was when I was doing my Milky Way, how to photograph the Milky Way with the S23 Ultra, which I do every year for every phone since basically like the S9, I think. Well, about this time last year, actually in October of 2022, Samsung came out with their Astro Mode. Well, they came out with their new Astro Mode in Expert RAW. And that was really exciting. And I did a video on that and it did really well. And I got some images that I really liked. Fast forward to late spring, early summer 2023, I did my Milky Way video, photographing the Milky Way with the S23 Ultra. And I was really looking forward to trying the Astro Mode and just seeing how that did with the Milky Way. And of course using regular Pro Mode, because I've been a big advocate of Pro Mode for a long time. Samsung has just done better and better and better incrementally with their Pro Mode and with giving users the ability to really control and get the most out of phone photography, and not just from being able to change things like, you know, the shutter speed and the ISO and the white balance and all of that, but also in their ability to have DNGs. So that's where we come in here with the big issues. A DNG is a type of RAW file. Basically, that means that the camera's not compressing it. If you don't know what a RAW file is or a DNG or anything like that, I have an old video you can check out about the differences between RAW versus JPEG. Suffice it to say that when you're in any other normal mode and you take a picture with any camera, the camera is going to edit it, it's going to process it, and it's going to kick you out a JPEG, and that's what your image is going to be in. That's the most acceptable type of image for file sharing and for uploading and everything. But if you want to edit more and you want more dynamic range or more color bit range and all of that stuff, if you want to get more out of your photos, then you want raw images. Well, ever since Samsung has allowed us to access the raw files and have option to save as JPEG and RAW, I've been a huge advocate of that, because if you really want to dive into photography and get better at it and stuff, the RAW is another tool to help you do that. So I'm doing the Milky Way video and you can check that out. I'll have a link for it down below. And I get into the studio and I'm editing and I want to use Adobe's new AI denoise, which I think is one of the best things that Adobe has done in a very long time. It's super powerful. It's incredible for denoising images. And I was really excited because the phones need a lot of help with denoising because their sensor size is super tiny. So they have inherently a lot more noise than a bigger camera. Anyways, I get in there, I put the DNG in, I'm starting to edit, and then I go to hit the AI denoise and it won't let me do it. That should have been my first big clue. And that was my first big like, whoa, what the heck's going on? The next big, whoa, what the heck is going on thing came when I did the Astro Mode and I went to go edit that, and it was just horrible. It looked and edited like a really bad broken up JPEG. Lots of banding, lots of color breaking down, lots of noise. It was very bad. And this was the DNG file from the Expert RAW Astro Mode. And Samsung for a while has been touting Expert RAW as being superior to Pro Mode and having higher color bit depth and all of this stuff, and you know, better quality and giving you the DNGs, whereas the DNG RAW photos from Pro Mode weren't as high quality. And that's what Samsung had been saying, marketing the Expert RAW mode. But these Expert RAW photos that I got from them just looked absolutely atrocious, and I couldn't denoise them. I couldn't edit them at all. They were, for all intents and purposes, like a JPEG. Fast forward to a few days ago, or I don't know, like a week ago, 6 days ago, I get a comment on one of my videos, and I'm going to read this comment because this guy went above and beyond. So this is from username Ultima Gaina. So huge thanks to you if you watch this. I don't know. I appreciate your deep dive here because it's more than I probably would have done. but it does confirm my suspicions. So he commented this on my S23 Pro Mode video where I show you how to use Pro Mode and the whys and the hows and all that stuff. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it for you. So he says that I noticed in the new Lightroom AI denoise, again, here we go, that it doesn't work with the phone's recent DNGs. I went back to the raw photos I shot in December, and guess what? Those raw photos can be denoised in the LR algorithm. And I have also noticed this too with my older images, so suspect. After digging a little deeper, I realized that something happened in between. Most likely the firmware update screwed things up. So there was a big firmware update, I think is in April or something, and things are starting to come together. When analyzing the EXIF data, we can clearly see that the new DNGs are not uncompressed RAW anymore, but they are now linear RAW with embedded JPEG compression. This explains why the LR AI denoise doesn't work on these files anymore, because it doesn't deal with compressed images. I suspect that the problem started sometime in April when the Expert RAW was added as an option inside the default camera app in Pro Mode. So that's interesting too. Samsung did something there when Expert RAW used to be a separate app and you had to go download it from the Samsung app, not the Google Play, only from the Samsung, and it was a separate app completely. But basically now with the update, they've added Expert RAW as an option, as a mode inside of the regular camera app. And I think that's where something wonky in the coding has happened here. So continuing on, he says, Expert RAW always had these linear RAW files since these are HDR DNGs. And I suspect that when the two things were combined, Expert RAW DNG generating algorithm replaced the original RAW algorithm, and that's no bueno. Also, as a side note, the 3x and 10x sensors have a 10 megapixel native resolution, 3648 by 2736, but the outputs of RAW from the Expert RAW and the regular camera app in photo mode are 12 megapixels, 4000 by 3000. So Expert RAW is upscaling the output of the 3x and 10x telephoto camera sensors. This is not what RAW files are supposed to do. It only confirms that the DNG is in fact a JPEG file in a DNG container. So all of that is really nerdy and really in-depth. And again, I appreciate the comment. So huge shout out to this community for you guys going that extra mile. Because it's interesting and it's important. You know, I haven't been able to find any reasonings why Samsung did this or what happened, or if they know that, like, what that means for their Pro Mode and if they're okay with that sacrifice. I think it's a huge step back, and I think it's really unfortunate because they did so well with giving us that power of having the DNGs and really being able to get the most out of that. And now they're going back and wrapping these DNGs in a JPEG container and compressing them and doing all this wonkiness. And it's really limiting our ability to get more out of these things. So if there's anybody out there that can maybe elaborate a little more, or can even, if you've had similar experiences or you've found similar research or confirm any of this, or you know what's going on or why, or if anyone knows anyone at Samsung, let me know, because I certainly don't know anybody at Samsung. So. But I think it would be fascinating to find out why this happened and what's going on, and hopefully see if maybe a future update will fix this. I still think that the Pro Mode, based on my last stuff, I still think that the Pro Mode images are better than the Expert RAW images for everyday editing, and you know, when I did the Milky Way and stuff. So you can go watch those videos and see how I edited them and how they came out. And I still use Pro Mode. I just keep it in the RAW plus JPEG, and I just, you know, put everything in Pro Mode in auto. Auto ISO, auto shutter speed, auto white balance, that kind of thing, auto focusing. That way, for all intents and purposes, it's a regular camera, and I can, if my kid's doing something or my cat's doing something or I'm out and about and I see a landscape or whatever, I can just quickly take the photo and have it, you know, get the right exposure and all that stuff. But if I want to really edit it and mess with it later, I'll have that RAW as a side. Even though it's not as much of a RAW as it used to be, apparently, I still like operating that way with the phone. But I've had a lot of people ask me, Expert Raw versus Pro Mode, and I just generally I've been staying away from Expert Raw because Pro Mode has seemed to be working better for me, unless you need those specific things like the Astro Mode, which it's been hit or miss for me too. And then I did another video about the multi-exposure blending versus like using filters for long exposures. You can check that out, but basically filters are still better for long exposures. Like it's just not quite there yet for its blending for long exposures in the Expert Raw app. I think it's cool that they added that. I think it's cool that they're thinking about it, and hopefully they'll keep, you know, trying to make that computational side of it better. But for now, if you want to do stuff like that, I still recommend going old school and grabbing the filters. And if you want to know what filters I use, this isn't sponsored or anything like that, but I use those Freewell filters that are for the S23, and they just clip onto the back, and they're wonderful. I'll have a link for those. All the stuff that I use for the phones, there'll be links down below. All right, well, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. Let me know you guys' thoughts, if you've seen anything like this, if you can corroborate. If you have any other questions about that kind of stuff, leave them down below, because this all started because of random people commenting on the video. So huge shout out to you guys. If you're still here, I really appreciate it. Hit that like button for me. That's the best thing you can do for the channel. And if you're really into phone stuff, go check out some of my playlists. They're all broken down to the phones that I use and whatever. And if you're just into general photography, then I got a ton of that stuff too. All right, that's it. It's second breakfast time. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.